California's where I'm gonna die.
Of this aircraft, please don't hesitate to ask. Smoking, including the use of electronic cigarettes and vaping, is never allowed on any JetBlue flight. Tampering with disabling or destroying smoke detectors in aircraft restrooms.
Still picking up the pieces you left behind. Gonna hang up my coat on the other side. Got something to say, well, you better say it now. I'm gone, long, long gone. California dreamer, can't get off my mind. Ever since the day you left me behind. You stole my soul in a Tennessee song. I can't wait till I get back home. We'll just keep driving, babe, till your memory's gone. You filled my head with all your dirty lies. You left me for a pretty little blonde surprise. You thought you had the upper hand. Now you wonder where the hell I've been. I'm gone, long, long gone. California dreamer, can't get it off my mind. Ever since the day you left me behind. You stole my soul in a Tennessee song. I can't wait till I get back home. I'll just keep driving, babe, till your memory's gone. And I promise I'm stronger than I was before. And I promise my home is a golden coast. And I promise you can't hurt me California dreamer, can't get it off my mind. Ever since the day you left me behind. Stole my soul in a Tennessee song. I can't wait till I get back home. I'll just keep driving, babe, till your memory's gone.
So, as you can see, we ended up, getting on the flight. But, I was nervous the whole time because I figured at any time they could say, no, we're not landing, or something's up, or whatever. And when we got that delay thing, I was like, oh boy, the flight's going to be delayed. Okay, delayed is fine. Because my thinking had been, until we were actually on the plane and in the air, anything could happen. I mean, they could say, okay, fine, we're canceling the flight, and the plane could take off and go hide someplace or whatever. It was really up to them. But the plane did come eventually. We did get out of there. But what ended up happening is we were supposed to be in New York at 7. It wasn't too much off on the 7 part. We got out on the back of the plane. We don't usually do that too much. I don't know if they were in a rush or what it was, but they emptied from the front and the back. That doesn't happen all the time. And then we get in, and, I had been looking on my phone already, and instead of having the next connection back to Burlington was supposed to be at 10:21, it went to 1:15. And I was like, oh my God. So it kept jumping around back and forth from, 1 o'clock, 1:15, 12:20. And it ended up being that we ended up getting back to Burlington, Vermont that night. I think it was around 2:30. So by the time we got in the truck, it was pouring rain the whole ride back. Got back here, and about 2 o'clock, it's probably like 4 or so. We get back here, it's cold. I went to turn the heat on in the camper, and nothing. So I was like, oh, great, excellent. I said, we must have run out of propane. So I go outside in the pouring rain, and the camper has 2 propane tanks, 2 30-gallon propane tanks. So I switched from one tank to another, nothing. So I was like, oh, great. The refrigerator had been off, so I said, okay, it's not coming back on. So finally I took off one of the tanks, and I had a spare 20. So I put the 20-gallon tank on, and I said, okay, this should work now because, I know this has got fuel in it. Come inside, nothing. So I said, okay, I can't believe this is how this is. I turned on the stove, and lo and behold, the stove works. It says, well, maybe it's just the gas that's left in the line. I said, well, that could be. So we left it on. It didn't go out. I said, okay, there's something else wrong. What is it that's the problem? We ended up giving up because it was like, it was 4:30 in the morning. I said, okay, enough is enough. We put our wet clothes out to dry. No heat in the camper or anything. It was like 53 or something like that. And I got up the next morning and I said, I wonder, because see, when the camper's not on like the generator or regular electric power, it works off a big 12-volt battery. And before we left, I didn't charge the 12-volt battery. I said, okay, we're not doing anything. It ought to have enough power. It got down to 1/3 capacity on the battery. So as soon as I hooked up the next morning, the generator, boom, heat came on, refrigerator came back on, and once the battery was fully charged, so there was a new lesson. You got to keep the battery in the camper charged up. And we're back and learned lessons, had a incredible adventure. I'm just grateful we got out. Grateful the papers got signed. Grateful the house in Eleuthera didn't get any major problems. And now hopefully we can just move on. I did hear from the lawyer, and she still hasn't gotten the papers. Yes, and I still have a head cold. And a tooth to take out this afternoon. Fun.